Noong bata pa raw siya, nasabihan siya na walang pera sa science. Pero sa kabila nito, ipinaglaban niya ang kanyang pangarap. Tunghayan natin kung paano ang isang Pilipina na taga Bohol ay naging isang guro, mamamahayag at siyentipiko. Kilalanin natin si Stephanie Tumampos.
Tubong Bohol si Stephanie. Gaya ng ibang mga bata, nagsimula siyang magtanong at puno ng kuryosidad sa kanyang kapaligiran.
Bakit nagsisnow sa ibang bansa sa Pilipinas? Ano lang, bagyo lang, tsaka araw, tsaka syempre yung paano nangyayari yung tides, bakit syempre isa din yung pagtingin sa tingin sa stars, no? Sa paano nakikita, bakit may constellation, ganyan. Um, paano yung paano nangyayari yung mundo itself? Paano nagawa yung mundo? So doon na talaga na na-introduce syempre sa school na yung mga Big Bang Theory, ganyan. So doon talaga ako naging interested sa science.
Nagtapos siya ng Applied Physics sa University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Kumuha rin siya ng Master's Degree in Environmental Engineering sa University of the Philippines, Diliman. At dahil malapit din sa puso ni Stephanie ang pagtuturo sa mga bata, ito ang kanyang naging unang trabaho.
Nagturo ko ng kids and also high school, no? Parang yung first job ko after graduation was to teach high school para to prepare them for college entrance exams. So I taught math and a little science as well. So doon ako nag-start. And I really wanted to teach dati pa. So yun, and then I eventually I worked for Dr. Ceci as an assistant. Tapos we did outreach, and then we designed modules for students and also for teachers on how to teach astronomy and space science. So dun na-realize ko na gusto ko to, and I want yung passion to teach kids, especially in the rural areas. Dun talaga sobrang para sa akin yun yung pangarap ko na kung marami lang akong pera, siguro gumawa na ako ng foundation to teach kids, no.
Mas na-curious ba kayo sa ating expert ngayong araw? Alam niyo bang hindi lang siya expert sa science, expert din siya sa science journalism. Nagsimula siya bilang photojournalist hanggang sa nadiskubre ang talento niya sa pagsusulat.
Okay, so after pursuing your studies sa field of science and technology, para sa kaalaman na lang din ng lahat, na nandito ka sa Pilipinas, you were a journalist. Tama ba, ma'am? Okay, pero talaga ang focus mo, so you're a science journalist.
So yes, I was a science journalist. No, first and foremost, I became a photographer kasi nung nagma-masters ako sa Philippines, I had some time, and then I was invited by a friend to take photos for their company. Tapos nakita ko somehow ng head photographer ng Business Mirror. So sabi niya, try mo kayang mag-picture sa amin sa newspaper. So ako naman, curious lang din na ano kayang nangyayari doon, kasi I had no idea what happens in the media. So I tried, and then eventually nung pag-start ko, after a few weeks, nakita ng science editor na, uy, background mo pala science, kasi pinag-uusapan nila na may background of science, and then why not try to write the science? So tinry ko siya. It was
So ano yung first story mo? Kung maalala mo pa yung first science story you wrote.
Ang pinakauna kong sinen talaga na article was about actually sa isang seminar na sponsored by DOST SEI, no. It was a seminar about space science kasi I think DOST SEI had a guest from Hungary na astronomer who was invited by Dr. Rohel Marisese na naging boss ko rin sa isa kong work as outreach managers as assistant sa startup company na Regular Space Tech. So, sabi ko baka pwede kong gawing article, tapos sinend ko kay Miss Lynn. Ayun. And I got really, no, I don't have any background on being a science writer, no training on journalism. But so when I came to her, she came back, printed my article, and then she corrected it so many red marks. Marami siyang sinabi na, although it's not, I take things, I always take corrections as constructive, no? So I took those corrections, and then I took it by heart na ito dapat matuto ka kasi kung gusto mo talagang magsulat, syempre titingnan mo siya as something na dapat i-improve ko. So she told me some tips na kahit siguro I think if I remember it right, parang dapat i-breakdown mo siya para mong kausap isang grade 2 student, no? Pag nagsusulat ka, dapat breakdown yung science words, science jargons. And I was not really used to it kasi I'm in the field of science. So dapat sa isip ko noon, no, parang dapat alam yan ng mga tao. Pero na-realize ko na hindi dapat ganun. You don't have to assume na dapat alam na to ng tao. You have to really explain. That's your job as a science journalist. Hindi ko na-gets dati. Pero eventually, I learned, especially with their guidance, with Miss Lynn's guidance as my science editor.
Ang curiosity ni Steph ang nagtulak sa kanya para tahakin ang science career. At hindi ito nagtatapos dito. Nais niyang maging tulay ng agham bilang manunulat para mas maintindihan pa ito ng mas nakararami.
Pero ano yung pinaka nagustuhan mo dito sa iyong trabaho?
I think marami akong gusto sa trabahong to sa science journalism. Number one is I get to share what I know sa mga from the scientist itself. So number one is yung may Filipino scientists tayo na gumagawa ng research, and that science is alive, no? Like for example, siguro ma-mention ko lang na DOST, no, they have a lot of funding for scientists. Tapos pag ini-invite nila ako sa mga events, nakikita ko na may pera may pera naman na binibigay ang gobyerno to do science. Although I would say na sana lakihan pa yung budget, pero may kita natin na there are so many efforts that DOST is providing, the government is providing to Filipinos, and that we have a lot of scientists in the country, no, and their science is so valuable kasi hindi ibig sabihin na si Einstein gumawa ng theory of relativity ay siya na yung pinaka-scientist at hindi natin magagawa. We need, of course, Albert Einstein, pero yung research natin, iba yung grassroots research. Like for example, research on agriculture. So nakikita natin kasi yun yung mga scientists na nag-aaral ko ano yung nangyayari sa Pilipinas talaga. And there's so many stories actually to tell, no? Pero ang daming storya na pwedeng gawin from our scientists and the science that they do.
Okay. So, Ms. Steph, ano yung maiko-consider mo na biggest contribution mo sa field of science and technology?
That's a really tough question kasi I'm not really a scientist na has a huge experience in the sciences, but I think my biggest contribution in science and tech is that my science communication skills was relayed to many people. Kasi again, I learned that there are two things that a scientist must remember to complete their science. No, it's usually number one, you publish an article in journals na mga scientific journals. So it's all scientists who read your work. But number two is your science should be felt by the people.
Okay. So, ang nakikita ko kasi, yung pagiging curious mo about sa iba't ibang bagay, yun yung nagli-lead sa'yo to make the beautiful story na hindi lang basta, alam mo yung medyo technical ang dating, pero mas naiintindihan talaga ng bawat Pilipino.
Ngayong Women's Month, kilalanin pa natin ng lubos ang ating expert. Alamin natin ang kanyang mga paboritong gawin sa labas ng science.
So, Miss Steph, ano ba yung mga favorite hobby mo or recreational activity?
So right now, since it's winter, ayokong lumabas ng bahay. Pero in normal days, nung nasa Pilipinas pa ako, my favorite hobby was, aside from photography, was free diving. So I had friends na encouraged me and took me to do free diving, no, yung isang hinga mo lang, tas you go diving deeper down, deeper in the waters, no, and it's amazing to do it, na kaya ko palang gawin yun in one breath, na natatakot ako dati sa tubig na sumisid. Other than photography, and also traveling is one of my hobbies. So I like to explore new places, new culture, new food in other places, and what else? I like writing, no? I like doing communication, not just science communication.
Yan ang ating expert for today. Alam niyo bang maliban sa pagiging science expert at journalist, kasama sa kanyang mga pinagkakaabalahan ang free diving at traveling. At kung mahaba-haba pa ang oras, ay K-drama fan din. At ito nga, nagawa niya ring magpa-picture sa isang lugar sa Switzerland kung saan kinuhana ng isang scene sa Korean drama na Crash Landing on You.
Miss Steph, ano ba ang pangarap mo para sa ating bansa?
Ako, marami akong pangarap sa ating bansa. Parang, first is that I want kids to really appreciate the science, no? Kasi yung isa sa first job ko with Dr. Cece before was to teach kids, do outreach, no? And first outreach we did was to teach the kids in Basay, Samar, who were affected by the typhoon Haiyan. And pag inexplain ko sa kanila, kasi it was an outreach na hindi lang kami namigay ng gamit, no? We had to teach the kids how typhoons work. So bakit nangyayari yun, and how climate change, how our actions affect the intensity of the typhoons that we experience today. So nakita ko na malaki palang kulang pa sa bansa when it comes to science, no? Kasi nakita natin it's very well developed in the urban areas, but in the rural areas it's so hard, and I understand why it's hard. Kasi geographically speaking, isla-isla naman ang Pilipinas. Ang hirap mag-reach out talaga, no? And marami akong pangarap, like I hope na when I contribute back after I get my degree, no, I can help even students to explore more sciences in many fields. Like collaboration maybe with universities abroad, where I don't know where I will work, no, after this one, but sabi nga nila, babalik ka ba sa Pilipinas? And I said, I want to, but let's see, because I want to expand even my research, no? And it's not only going home. For me, it's not just going home to the Philippines na magko-contribute ako. What I want to do is that I want to bring Philippines out from where it is and expose it to the world. Kasi sa totoo lang, maraming very talented ang Pinoy, very matalino ang Pinoy. And if you give them a chance to learn, they will really learn. So yun yung nakita ko, kasi eager ang mga Pilipino eh. Pag nakikita ko yung mga bata sa mga isla, pag nagtuturo ako, they're so eager to learn. They just needed a chance. So isa yun sa mga pangarap ko, na matuto sila sa siyensya, no? And also change the perspective na walang pera sa science. Sorry, I just have to really highlight that one. Kasi I grew up in a family na lagi sinasabi, physics, magiging, sorry for the term, pero lagi sinasabi sa akin na magiging teacher ka lang. And I said, what's wrong with being a teacher? You know? Ang baba ng tingin ng ibang tao sa teacher. And I said, a teacher is so essential to society, and that, yes, there's a demand na taasan yung pay ng teachers, but what's wrong with it? You know, yung notion na walang pera dyan. Actually, may pera naman sa science, may pera, may trabaho sa science, may researcher na mga trabaho sa sciences, and they pay really well, no? So, and that, the notion na magiging teacher ka lang pag nag-physics ka, nag-chemistry, parang dami ko yung trabaho if you're there. So, I just want to change that connotation or public connotation na walang pera sa sciences. That's a very damaging idea. No? So yun.
Sa kasalukuyan ay ipinagpapatuloy ni Stephanie ang kanyang pag-aaral. Isa siyang doctoral student sa Technical University of Munich sa Germany sa ilalim ng Chair of Remote Sensing Technology, Department of Aerospace and Geodesy.
So, my message to Filipinos, no? Filipinas, to young children, to young people who are in the sciences as well, na just be you. Don't you can aspire to be like me, but think about who you want to be in the next 5 years. Make yourself be an inspiration to other people. You do the science because you know it's not only for you, but it can actually benefit other people. That's what makes science very fulfilling, not just valuable, but fulfilling. You know, you define the sciences based on what you want to share to other people. Ako si Stephanie Tumampos at babae ako, hindi babae lang.
Tulad ka ba ni Stephanie na curious sa kanyang paligid? I-comment na ang inyong reaksyon gamit lang ang #WomenInScience at #ExpertTalkOnline. Mga ka-DOST Barkada, samahan po ninyo ako muli sa susunod na Miyerkules at sama-sama nating kilalanin ang ilan sa mga natatanging kababaihan na tumanggap sa hamon ang paglingkuran ang bayan sa pamamagitan ng agham, teknolohiya at inobasyon. Dito lang sa Expertalk Online.